This is the Sixth Man Show, an Orlando Magic podcast, with your hosts, Luke Sylvia and Jonathan Osborne, covering all things Magic basketball. By fans, for fans. Go Magic. What's going on, Orlando Magic fans? You guys are back with the Sixth Man Show. Today is October 31st, 2022. Happy Halloween, baby. Jonathan Osborne here. As always, I am joined by my co-host, Luke Sylvia. Luke, what's up, bro?
I'm great. I'm wonderful, but not really. We got some feel-good feelings, Friday. Great feelings. And you're feeling probably a little optimistic going into the game against Dallas on Sunday, and it is what it is. You're running to Luka. But other than that, I'm doing pretty well.
We'll break it all down
in a couple days, so this is probably my last time recording from here, unless my internet is not ready on Wednesday, so we'll see.
They better get out there and do that up. We're going to need that. Yeah, we'll get into the Mavericks game, but I think, we had good reason to be optimistic, I think, in regards to that game. But, sometimes it goes your way, sometimes it doesn't. Just want to ask, do you have any, trick-or-treating plans for Halloween, you and the kiddo?
Yeah, we'll probably go to my brother and sister-in-law's house. They have 3 kids. And they've got an open neighborhood, so I'm sure that there's a good amount of foot traffic. So we'll do that. Harper is going to be a Hershey's Kiss, wearing the same outfit, same costume that my wife wore when she was her age. So pretty crazy.
Adorable.
Yeah. So pretty crazy. Cole, unfortunately, we didn't really think about an outfit for him. He might wear like his football onesie and be a football, just an easy one. But we'll probably do that. I think dinner over there, trick-or-treating following that, I would think. What about you guys? You got any plans?
So we did the trunk-or-treat thing today at church, which is always fun, Mm-hmm. People making multiple laps through the church trunk-or-treat. I'm not here to judge. Just, not trying to judge, but we only had so much candy. Luckily, we made it to the end. So, they already have a bunch of candy. So I'm hoping, tonight or when you guys are listening to this on Monday, I can get away with like an hour in the neighborhood, that we're staying here and then, back to the crib kind of thing. So Avery is going to be Belle from Beauty and the Beast.
Love that.
And Amelia is going to be Anna. And Aiden, if you guys don't follow me on Instagram, shoot me a follow. Now I am private because there's some weirdos out there. But if you guys shoot me a request and I recognize that, like you're a Magic fan, I'll more than likely let you in unless you just look like a weirdo. No offense.
Magic fans aren't weirdos. This is what you're saying?
Some of them are. I mean, I love y'all, but some of y'all are kind of weird. But I bought a little Naruto outfit for Aiden, our 6-month-old, and he's got the little yellow, wig thing going on and everything. So he wore that a few weeks ago to a Halloween party that we went to, and then he wore that today, and baby's just like spit up and drool and like fart all over everything, so he probably won't wear that again. So he'll probably just like chill in the stroller while we walk around.
I'm really relieved, and people don't care about this at this point, but I'm very relieved that the picture that I saw of Aiden wearing the outfit, I'm really relieved that was for a Halloween thing. Like that was for Halloween. It was so many weeks ago that I just thought you put your kid in it.
No, dude, I'm not weird, bro. We went to a Halloween party.
Yeah. 3 weeks ago, my head was
8 or 9 months ago before he was even born.
You found out it was a boy and you were on it.
I was like, you know what? I can't dress up like this because it would be creepy. So you get to, even though you have no idea what Naruto is and you probably won't for like another 10 years. My original idea, we were hoping to be in the house by now. So I was going to dress up as Kakashi and I was going to be the sensei. And he was going to be my little Chunin, my little Naruto buddy, and that didn't work out. So we'll have to rethink it and figure something else out for next year. But anyways, let's talk about the Magic. That's why people are here. They don't want to hear about our adorable kids, unfortunately. So let's break down the weekly state of the Magic. So we talked, on Wednesday's episode or Thursday's episode, but yeah. Overall, this week, the Magic went 1-3. Props to Luke, who predicted the Magic's record and their wins perfectly this week. Round of applause.
Thank you.
They are now 1-6 on the season, which is the worst record in the East. It is right now the second worst record in the league, just above the winless Lakers. Just had to throw that in there because it makes me feel a heck of a lot better, knowing that we're at least better than the Lakers so far. On the season, the Magic have an offensive rating of 107.3 points per 100 possessions, which ranks 27th, which is down from 22nd, which they were at the end of last week. So 27th in the league currently over the course of the season so far. And they have a defensive rating of 112, which ranks 18th, which is up from 21st. So that performance against the Charlotte Hornets definitely helped us with that. And they are now 6th in free throw rate. So heading into our last episode, they were up to 15th in free throw rate. And coming into tonight's game, Paolo was tied for 6th in the entire league in free throw attempts per game. So him being 6th, the Magic being 6th in free throw rate, it's not a mystery. Like, that is a direct correlation. Like, Paolo has just changed the game for the Orlando Magic in terms of free throw attempts each game, which speaks volumes just in terms of like his potential moving forward. If you're one of those guys in the league, you get to the free throw line a bunch each game, like we saw with frickin' Luka Doncic tonight. But I digress. Jalen Suggs, Cole Anthony, Markelle Fultz, Jonathan Isaac, Gary Harris, and Mo Wagner all remain out. So you and I were both at the game on Friday against the Hornets. You went with your dad. I went to cover the game. After the game, when I went downstairs, like, so you're up on the club level sitting in the media loge, and then obviously you go back down to the event floor to go to the Magic press room, like for the post-game conferences. Well, while I'm walking down, as the players are coming through the tunnel at the end of the game, they kind of rope off both sides so nobody can, try to walk into those guys or, mess with them or whatever.
Right.
Cole is walking back to the locker room and he lifts up his hoodie and his whole abdomen is wrapped currently. I don't know if it's heat. I don't know if it's ice. I don't know if it's just to kind of keep everything compact, but he's dealing with that oblique injury. So when I saw that, I was like, all right, he's pretty significantly hurt if he's walking around with it wrapped. So our injury list, the guys that are out, is starting to get as long as our Patreon list, which is kind of concerning. But in other Magic news this week, the Magic made some roster decisions and some contractual decisions. They exercised the fourth-year team options for Chuma Okeke and Cole Anthony. They exercised the third-year team options for Franz Wagner and Jalen Suggs. And they made the decision to decline the fourth-year team option for R.J. Hampton, which was a little bit surprising. We can talk about this in a second, Luke. And we heard that, and then, I don't know, within an hour, maybe less, we heard news that R.J. Hampton is leaving the Lyft management agency that he signed with. Mike Miller was, I believe, the first athlete to sign with Mike Miller at Lyft. And then, right after that, we heard that Wendell Carter Jr. was actually joining the Lyft agency. So, pretty interesting weekend. I think all of that came out on Saturday, if I'm not mistaken. So, Luke, what was your reactions to the team picking up those options, not declining RJ's option, and then the whole Lyft agency shuffle?
Yeah, I think that there was going to come a point where difficult decisions have to be made with this front office, and as we know, and I've been talking about, at some point, you're going to have to make a decision about your young players. Who are you going to keep? Who are you going to let walk? All those sort of things. And we have seen it's RJ Hampton, I guess, right? I mean, you look at the guard spot. When healthy, RJ Hampton, his minutes kind of evaporate, right? There's an odd man out. It's RJ Hampton. I think that's kind of where they're coming from. They know maybe as far as money wise, RJ is going to maybe be a little bit more expensive than just having a two-way guy like Kevon Harris, who is just going to come in and play guard minutes when you're in a pinch. So I don't know. We'll see. Obviously, the Magic are optimistic that the guard spot will eventually someday in our lifetime be healthy, and RJ Hampton will not be needed.
Brave,
but a little surprising. To say the least, but also I think when you step back and take a look at it, it makes sense a little bit there. Chuma, I mean, if you're telling me right now, I got to choose between RJ Hampton and Chuma, I'd probably choose an RJ. But at the same time, I get it either way, I guess. You got to make a decision. And I don't know that I feel super strongly about either of those guys.
I think it just comes down to like we have less healthy like even when everybody's back, like we still have less wings than we do
Right.
guards, and I think that's
Yep.
kind of what it came down to.
Yeah.
And like you can sell a team on Chuma and like the defense and the size, and I mean it just kind of sucks for RJ because like summer league we were like wow, like he doesn't even look like an NBA player, and I posed the question tonight that I thought RJ was like maybe our second or third best player on the floor, and honestly he might. There's a good argument for him being the best player on the floor tonight in that Dallas game. Like as close as you want to say it was down the stretch, it's not that close without RJ Hampton tonight. And in the minutes that he's been given an opportunity, I feel like he's really competed. He's been impactful. Tonight he showed like actual like not I don't want to say like playmaking, but like self creation chops at least a little bit just in terms of like getting to the rim. We know that he's a decent catch and shoot guy, so it just sucks for RJ Hampton. Like we've had the pleasure of talking with him, a little bit more than I have, but really cool kid, like down to earth. We know that he works hard. He's forever posting videos in the Magic practice facility at 2-3 a.m. in the morning. Like they got back from that last road trip, and then it was like 3 o'clock in the morning. He's still in the gym, so it sucks for RJ. I'm trying not to like read too deeply into it, but just because we're so far away from the summer, but it does feel like RJ probably isn't long for Orlando past this season. Now he's an expiring contract now, so do they look to flip him maybe for like a second round pick later on this season, or are they just content with letting him walk in free agency? I mean, we saw Mo Bamba get to free agency this season and he came back. So maybe there's still a route for RJ to work his way back into the rotation and into the future plans with RJ. But it is what it is. I don't think it's a massive deal for the Magic one way or the other. He's still very much a rotational player in the NBA. But I feel for him because I do feel like he's proved that he's a legit NBA player. Some guys are like, no, you don't belong here. But RJ, embracing his role in which he's done this season, I feel like he's got a spot on an NBA roster somewhere. To me, arguably the more interesting piece of this was him leaving Lyft. So he's talked glowingly about Mike Miller, for years now, even before he decided to go, to New Zealand to play in the NBL. Mike Miller was recruiting him at Memphis when Mike Miller was at Memphis. So the fact that all of this kind of happened around the same time, that doesn't seem like a coincidence. Obviously, we don't know all the details. And then you see, Wendell Carter Jr. joining Lyft kind of like minutes after the news broke that RJ was leaving. And as everyone knows, Paolo Banchero is also signed to Lyft with Mike Miller. So it's just a shuffle of some of the guys on the Magic roster on the Lyft roster. Luke, I don't think there's too much for us to really dive into with the leaving the agency thing. We don't have a lot to go off of there.
Yeah, I mean, there's not. It's hard to like research times that club teams haven't exercised the option for their player and they left their agency. Like it is so, it's just specific. And so off the top of my head, and even after like looking around, I really couldn't find too much as far as like correlations there. The biggest correlation obviously is that agencies are working, for the players, but with the teams to try to get deals done, contracts done, agreements on both sides. Clearly, there just wasn't an agreement with the Magic and exercising that option with RJ. I don't know. I mean, you can speculate. You can speculate.
That's all it would be. Yeah.
Right. You can speculate that there just wasn't, that RJ wasn't happy with Lyft, but like that's just not like that might not be accurate. There could have just been something deeper than that. There could have been stuff that's been happening and they've had some things back and forth and who knows how long. So like you said, it is weird because of how highly regarded we feel like Mike Miller is for RJ Hampton, or at least was. Something might have happened. I don't really know. but it definitely feels like there's something there, and absolutely a correlation in terms of the option not being picked up plus the agency thing.
Well, whatever happens with RJ, we know that he's going to keep working, and hopefully it works out for him, one way or the other. Kind of exciting that Wendell is also now with Lyft. I mean, if you look at the Lakers roster, it's like a ton of clutch guys on that team, and we just got a bunch of Lyft guys now. You got Wendell, you got Paolo. So, I don't really think there's too much that we can draw from this. Like you said, anything that we would say is just going to be speculation, and we don't really need to do that. So how about we talk about the beatdown we put on Steve Clifford and the Charlotte Hornets on Friday night, which was so funny. Being at the game like during warmups and people are talking about like Cliff coming back, and on Magic social media like Twitter and stuff, people were talking about this being the Steve Clifford revenge game, and I'm like, revenge for what? Steve left. Like, it was in quotations mutual, but Steve, we were going through a rebuild. He didn't want any part of that. So the Magic were like, all right, goodbye. And I was talking to someone at the game, and it was like, sure, it was probably one of those things like, we're going to rebuild, like, not necessarily in spite of you, but regardless of what you say. Like, if you want to stick around for the rebuild, great. If not, we totally understand that, and we'll find a guy that wants to be here. And now they've done that with Jamal Mosley. But I know there's one person in particular that saw this as a revenge game, and that would be one Mohamed Bamba. Let's just talk about Mo for a second here. 19 points, 8 of 12 from the floor in 17 minutes, added 6 rebounds, an assist, and 3 blocks, and an absolute poster alley-oop dunk. We started to see a little bit of Paolo Banchero, Mo Bamba synergy in this game, Luke. But what were your takeaways either from Bamba or just the game as a whole?
I think as far as Bamba goes, I think it was maybe more damning than anything. Like, we know Mo didn't care for Steve Clifford, and there was definitely some motivation behind. Right. Well, I mean, come on, dude. Like, just wasn't giving him the minutes.
But
he's talked about basically like a refreshing environment with Mo. Like, the instant connection between him and Mosley. It seemed like no shot. There isn't some type of animosity. If not, just like, I finally am getting minutes, and I want to prove to you on the other side of the court, like, that I'm worth something and I'm worth minutes. And Mo goes out there and makes the most out of his 17 minutes. Now, he plays 17 minutes again against Dallas, and it doesn't seem nearly as assertive. And I just wonder, we always have questioned, how hard is, like, how much effort is Mo giving? And that's really what it said to me after tonight. Like, I'm looking at him like, dude, where are you? Because against the Hornets, when you seem to have an agenda, you were crushing it. I'd love to have that type of Mo every night, but we just don't get it. And so for me, unfortunately, Mo has a great game, but I just can't look past the fact of, like, it feels narrative driven as far as he goes. So good for Mo. Had a great night, gave us a fun time. Don't get me wrong, I was still cheering for him and clapping and yelling when he was making these great plays because he's playing for the Magic. But in the same vein, it is a little concerning and kind of further, I guess, perpetuates my concern when it just, like, you have these two type of games that are just polar opposite. It wasn't even that Mo was inefficient against, Dallas. I just felt like he wasn't asserting himself and making the most of those minutes that he got, and it was very clearly there, like, evident.
I mean, for me, like, I don't know, like, I don't have like this emotional reaction to Mo Bamba games anymore the way that I used to. And I think, like, last year was just like the final straw for me. Like, you started, like, what did he, like, start and playing like 78 games, like something like that. And we just saw it just like ebbed and flowed. Like, he would, every 5 or 6 games would look incredible. The other 4, he would be mostly solid. And maybe one of those games, he would just have a really forgettable performance. And I've just come to accept that that's who Mo Bamba is. He's not a bad player, but I just don't ever see him living up to the potential that we thought he was going to be when he was, the 5th or 6th pick in the draft, whatever he was. So yeah, like, Mo Bamba, it was really fun for me to see him envision dunking on Steve Clifford catching that lob, I think. So that was a lot of fun. And then just the fact that, we smacked the Charlotte Hornets. Like if you just like kind of looking at the stats there, the biggest lead in this game for the Magic, 32 points. And at that point you're like, all right, we're going to coast to a victory tonight. But I never like fully exhaled until like all the bench guys, like when it was really clear that Clifford was like, all right, we're not winning this game. It's over. And then both, teams basically put the bench guys in. But the Magic were up 51-30 at the end of the first half. For Charlotte, coming into this game as one of the hottest shooting teams in the league, 4 of 18 from behind the arc in that first half, 30 points and a half. That you're never going to win games like that. So, Gordon Hayward was playing relatively well in that first half, but guys like PJ Washington, Kelly Oubre especially, like I've never seen that dude brick so many open threes in my entire life, and I'm glad that he did it for the Magic, and we were able to get the first win of the year because it just really felt like, hey, we need this W tonight. We talked about it on the last episode. You just had to dig deep no matter what it took and find a way to win this game. And I was really pleasantly surprised that it wasn't close. But the starting lineup, let's talk a little bit about that. Paolo Banchero, Bull, Wendell Carter Jr., Terrence Ross, Franz Wagner. They were great. Yeah. They were great tonight against the Mavericks.
You look back at the Hornets game and you have a great like memory of what, because I did the same thing where I was like, man, I feel great about that starting lineup. And I went back, rewatch the game. It's different watching it live. Like you don't get nearly any time to analyze. When I'm watching games on TV, like I'm rewinding constantly, seeing what happened and what broke down or what went well. So I went back and I've watched the full game highlights so many times. But I realized that the starting unit didn't really do incredible things until later in the first half, right? Like you're kind of keeping stride with them at the beginning of the game until substitutions are made. But what was really surprising to me is that they made separation with that starting lineup minus Paolo, Admiral Schofield there in that second quarter. They got the lead to 11 at one point, and then you saw them really when they put Paolo back in the game. Magic were up 38-30. Paolo comes in for Sco with like 3.5 minutes left to go in the first half. They go on a 13-0 run to be up 21 at that 51-30 score. So that was when the starting lineup really like made me feel like they earned to be at least a rotation together, to be in a rotation together. These guys play well. There was a lot of good takeaways. I think there was a little bit of negative, or not negative, but something that I guess seemed great against Charlotte that we can talk about when we get to the Dallas game, that there's definitely some pros and cons to that lineup and the scheme that goes with it in regards to switching everything from 1 through 5. I think they did a great job against Charlotte in that regard, allowed them to really build. Those are guys that are all tall, all long, but they're wanting to get out and run. They're young, obviously. They cover a lot of ground. It was just a really fun lineup. Bull, once again, just creates electrifying moments within Amway. The dude is just like an electric factory at all points of the game.
Some would say a power plant.
Wow, look at you. Yeah, a power plant. But he does. He exudes like just a ton of electricity and can get the game going and capitalizes on so many things. I just feel like when he does something great defensively, you can almost guarantee he's going to do something great offensively on the other end. Like it won't go poorly on the other end if he's already done something great defensively, like a block or something like that. So yeah, hats off to that group. Fully deserved to be the starting lineup against Dallas on Sunday. So yeah, man, I think that was like a huge takeaway for me. It's just how great they played together, even with Schofield in the lineup and minus Paolo getting that lead out to 11 at one point after you were kind of neck and neck the whole game so far, created that separation. And then just like the fact that it didn't let up, continued to extend the lead. And I was with my dad. My dad hadn't been to a game in a few years since the playoffs against Toronto game 4. But we just like at points, the Hornets were so bad shooting the basketball. Yes, the Magic did great switching and playing defensively, but also
They
I
also
think
had a lot of open looks.
that led to them maybe being off just mentally. Kelly Oubre, like you said, missing those shots. There was points where, like, yeah, they would miss a lay-in. It would just roll in and out. Like, a lot of them were just unlucky. And my dad and I would just crack up laughing. Like, we couldn't stop laughing. We're like, wow, they are awful tonight. And it couldn't have come on a better night.
And speaking more about that lineup, Luke, over 3 games this season, 32 minutes, the majority of those 32 minutes coming over the course of the last 2 games that they've been starting together. They have a 133.8 offensive rating, an 86.2 defensive rating, which is a 47.7 overall net rating, which is ridiculous. Again, small sample size, but the early returns are pretty good. And like you said, the fact that Charlotte just could not buy a bucket in this game. The Magic really did not shoot the ball well, shot 27% from the three-point line in this one, but Charlotte just shooting a little bit better, 28.9, but Charlotte 38% over the course of the entire contest. So Paolo talked about it after the game. This was one of the, or if not the best defensive performance that they had up to this point on the season. And then, a little bit of Paolo Banchero MVP chance in the lower bowl during the game. And I got the chance to ask him about that. And just the way that he talked about the way that the city has really embraced him was pretty encouraging, because you can tell that, he's excited to be here. So, again, in this one, the Magic win 113-93 in a blowout win at home over the Charlotte Hornets. And do not forget, folks, after Magic victories all season long, with Papa John's, you can get 50% off your online order the next day with code MAGICWIN. And Luke, something that I didn't understand about this code is, so I've lived near Tampa, obviously, all these years they've been doing the Papa John stuff, and I didn't think that I could use the code, but I found out that code is redeemable as long as you're within 150 miles of Orlando, which if you look at the state of Orlando, it's literally like half the state, like pretty close to Jacksonville. As long as you're 75 miles away from Miami, and you're within 150 miles of Orlando, you can use that code. So again, code MAGICWIN, get 50% off your online order the next day after a Magic victory with code MAGICWIN. Who doesn't like pizza, right?
What did you get? What kind of pizza did you get?
So I went a little ham. So not actual ham, like hard as a
okay. All right.
Enter the the phrase here. So we're staying with some family. So whenever we order food, like we gotta order a ton of food. So I ordered 2 large cheese pizzas. Then as I'm looking, I'm like, oh, they have stuffed crust now, and I hadn't tried their stuffed crust. And I have a real problem when it comes to food. Like, I can't help myself. If there's something I want to try, I just get it. Like the first time I ever went to Zaxby's, for me, my wife, and my mom that was with us, we dropped like $80 at Zaxby's because I had to try everything. I had to try all the appetizers. That way, the next time that I go, I know what I want to get. So 2 large cheese pizzas and then a large cheese stuffed crust from Papa John's. And I got to get the extra garlic sauce. As anybody that doesn't use their garlic sauce is a psychopath.
Yeah. I did the same as far as ordering using the discount code MAGICWIN. I used it and got a little half toppings on one side, half on the other, and then also we were with some friends watching the Gator game, so I was simultaneously crying while eating my pizza, but I was crying because the pizza was so good, also because the Gators stink. So I got a little chicken and pineapple on one side. It belongs on the pizza. Don't care what anybody says.
Pineapple belongs on pizza, yes.
And then I think on Lauren's side, we got her like mushrooms, sausage, and bacon, maybe. So yeah, it was pretty good, pretty good. I'm hoping the Magic will, once this team is back to where they need to be and healthy, I'm hoping we get to use this code a lot.
All right, let's talk about the folks that help financially support everything that we do here at the Sixth Man Show. So if you haven't heard before, we do have a Patreon channel where you can financially partner with the show to, again, help us do all the things that we do, help us get awesome new equipment to upgrade our content, help us do awesome things like giveaways like we've done the last couple of weeks. So if you've missed those, keep your eyes out, because, of course, we're going to do more of those in the future. But if you want to find us, you want to find our Patreon, you can find us at patreon.com/the Sixth Man Show. Starting at $2 a month, you can help support the show, and there's other tiers where you can get additional benefits, like hanging out with us on our monthly Zoom call. We just had our one last week. That was amazing, a lot of fun talking about Paolo. Even though the team has been great so far, everybody is super encouraged by Paolo Banchero. We also shout out our brand new patrons on every single episode when we have them. And we shout out all of our Hall of Fame tier patrons on every single episode. We have a few updates on the Patreon this week. So our boy Michael Martin, he upgraded from the All-Star tier to the Hall of Fame tier. So thank you very much, Michael. Our boy Ty, Mr. TV, who is one of the winners of our giveaway, he upgraded from the All-Star tier to the Hall of Fame tier as well. So appreciate you, Ty. Really appreciate that. And then we have a new annual Hall of Fame tier Patreon. Junior, I am so sorry, my man. I'm going to attempt to say your last name. I know I'm going to butcher it. I really, genuinely, from the bottom of my heart, apologize. Junior Burus. I'm praying tonight as I lay my little head down on my pillow that that's how you say your name. If it's incorrect, please message us on Patreon and give me the phonetic way to say this, because I really want to say your name correctly. But Junior, appreciate you stepping up, going the whole year. You do get a 15% off if you go annual, for the whole year. So whether it's our All-Star or Hall of Fame tier, if you go annual on either of those, you get 15% off the whole year. So be sure to take advantage of that. Let's shout out our Hall of Fame tier patrons, and this list is really growing, folks. We really appreciate it. But just bear with me here as I go through this. Luke used to have me try to do this in one breath, and thankfully, but unfortunately, that will never happen again. Shout out Court Cousins, Armin, Carson Tulo, Jonathan Borges, Norm L, Magic Player History, Julio, Bailey, Gabe Gaines, Wiffle, Michael Martin, Michael Salapong, Franz Go to Fasho, Ryan Singh, The Distract, Mo Bamba, Yo Mama. Very nice. I'm Ron Burgundy, Pierre A, Migzors, Dylan Holden, Mr. Mikey, Lil Penny, Drum, Danimal, Dutto15, Bobby Skinner, Nate Donley, Goody93, Teddy Sylvia, Breadhead, Brian Leggins, Eric Lopez, Fuchsia, Juan Giraldo, Bill Fulton, Edmund Ligon, Jose Esquilin, Destined for Greatness, Caleb 10, Cannibalism, Time, Mr. TV, Brandon Grace, Chad3045, Joe Rothfuss, ESPN Really Sucks, Gear 95 Shred, and Junior, I gotta say it again, Burus. I really hope that's correct, man. But thank you guys all so much to our patrons that help support the show. Again, you can find us at patreon.com/the6man show.
So Luke's mom is gone, and it's now Mo Bamba Yo Mama. Is that
Bamba
right?
Yo Mama. Yeah.
That's fine, I guess.
I hope that's not like an adjective. I'm going to Mo Bamba Yo Mama. Because that's really disrespectful. I got to say. Sounds sexual, and I don't appreciate that. Tonight versus Dallas, Luke, we watched our Orlando Magic lose 105-114 to the Dallas Mavericks. Started off hot in this game. The Magic started this game 4 of 4 from the three-point line, jumped out to a pretty early 12-point lead, or 11-point lead, excuse me. And then Luka Doncic started to do Luka Doncic things. And as the game started to get closer, it was Dallas's second night of a back-to-back. They had played Oklahoma City the night before. That game it went into overtime. Luka had played a ton of minutes in that one. So the first half, it was all right, if we can just keep this going long enough, maybe if this game gets into the third, fourth quarter, and if we have a decent lead, maybe they're just all right, we got to shut Luka down. It's not worth risking injury. He's gassed, smoking cigarettes and hookah in the offseason. He's not quite drinking beers at halftime, whatever he does. He's not quite all the way back to playoff shape Luka just yet, so you got to be careful with him. But yeah, Luka started to do Luka things. I think, what did he have? 30 at halftime, ended up with 44 on the game. We were doing a pretty good job of containing him in the second half, but then Tim Hardaway Jr., he starts getting a little bit crazy like he can. He didn't shoot particularly well in the first half, but just went a little crazy in the second half, and then our young Bulls, man, Paolo Banchero, Franz Wagner, it just seems like we're asking these guys to do just so much. They shoot a combined, 9 of 32 from the floor tonight. Franz with 11, Paolo with 18. The 20-plus points per game streak to start his career has now snapped. Really, it's hard to point to too many things for the Magic tonight. For me, it was Luka Doncic really just going crazy and Tim Hardaway making shots in the second half.
Yeah.
4 turnovers for Dallas.
Crazy.
Crazy.
So I think the big the Magic rebound well tonight, out rebound Dallas by 10, just to kind of take you guys through those team stats, right? Like the Magic shoot better from three. They both make the same amount. Magic shoot better from three, shoot a little worse from the floor, 45% to their 49. You got 5 blocks to their 1. The big thing that stood out to me, Jonathan, is that they had 10 steals tonight to the Magic's 2, as well as just outscored us by 10 in the paint. We saw that OKC took Dallas to the wire, not just to the wire, but winning the game, right? And OKC had 70 points in the paint against them, so was a little disappointed. I know that the Mavericks, though, schemed a little bit better, knowing that Paolo Banchero loves to get into the paint, and you saw that. It caused Paolo to just take these mid-range jumpers, which, don't get me wrong, sometimes they're falling, sometimes they look really pretty, other times they're not that pretty. So
I gotta jump in here. I just felt like he was settling. I felt like, yes, they were defending him well when he was trying to drive, but a couple of times it was just like he got the ball like at the top of the arc, and he decided, I'm going to take 3 or 4 dribbles here and pull up.
Man might be tired.
I think, you know what? I think there is something to that.
To what, him being tired, or him being the face of the franchise?
Well, I mean, he's got the weight of the whole city of Orlando on his shoulders right now, first of all. He had, the best 6-game stretch to start his career in the modern era. Like, we're talking about Elvin Hayes and Oscar Robertson, guys from a bajillion years ago, right? Like, in our lifetimes, like, if you're a fan of Michael Jordan or Larry Bird or LeBron James or Kobe Bryant or Luka Doncic, whoever, like, nobody was doing through the first 6 games what Paolo was doing, like, in the modern era. So, like, although, to your point, Dallas knew that this boy was looking to, please pardon my phrasing, he was trying to bang in the paint, right?
Hey.
But tonight he was just like, you know what? To me, he looked a little bit tired tonight, and he's like, I'm just settling for jumpers. 6 of 20 tonight.
6 of 20, 1 of 6 from the 3, misses 3 free throws, goes 5 of 8, gets to the line well. Once again, obviously shooting 8 free throws, not something to hang your head about. But I think against Charlotte, he was a little off from the free throw line. Started that way, I believe, in Dallas tonight. And I mean, sometimes you run into the buzzsaw of Luka Doncic. That's also what I was alluding to earlier, talking about how that starting lineup, that group at least, looked great, switching 1 through 5 for the most part. Terrence Ross is always going to get picked on a little bit, especially when it's that glaring in terms of having him in that lineup with those guys who have so much length. Yeah, you're going to beat Bol, but as producer Kevin pointed out in our group chat, Bol gets beat a lot, but he makes up for it because he has a freaking 7'8" wingspan. So Terrence gets picked on a lot. If you're switching 1 through 5 like the Magic and Mosley have decided to do with that group, this is the problem you're going to run into. Multiple times tonight, we saw Terrence get switched on to Luka, whether it was in the half-court set or in transition. There was a point where Magic missed a shot, Dallas gets the rebound, Luka's bolting the other way, and Terrence kind of happens to just be in his lane, right? Like, you have everybody scrambling, you have someone just trying to stop ball. They weren't necessarily guarding the man that they were supposed to be. Terrence gets on Luka. Thankfully, it was one of the only times, I think, that Terrence was on Luka and Luka missed a shot. It just felt like Luka could get to the basket whenever you want, like whenever he wants to. And honestly, he had 30 at half, but the game was tied, right?
Yeah,
he had 30 at half. It was tied 60 apiece. And you're honestly, like, at least I was thinking, from what I know about Luka, I'm hoping.
Good friends, you and him.
Yeah, right. Yeah, me and Luka, we talked before the game. He was like,
smoking cigarettes
crazy
in the back alley behind the American Airlines arena.
Exactly. We lost to OKC. I need to put the team on my back and just score. Forget facilitating, which he kind of did that a little bit, right? Like, especially in the first half. Goes for 30 of their 60, scores half their points. And I'm honestly hoping that Luka just continues to try to put the team on his back and just score. because I personally think the Mavericks are just better when he is doing a little bit of everything, and it's very evident tonight, right? Yeah. He shifts his play style a little bit in the second half, actually starts missing a couple shots here and there, and the Mavericks end up winning this game because other people are getting involved. They're scoring the basketball. But yeah, so you sometimes just run into the buzzsaw of a superstar player, especially when you're running that lineup and switching everything. It's unfortunate, but that's just one of the things that happens. I don't know if you can do that with that lineup against a team that has a superstar on the other side of the ball. It's going to be very difficult because everyone's going to be going for 31-year-old Terrence Ross, who is just going to get bodied.
God bless
love
him.
The guy.
Competed like a champ.
Love the guy, but he can't do anything.
But man, Bud Light and Marlboro, Luka Doncic is a lot to deal with.
A thick boy tank, and he's just going to back you down and do whatever he wants. He's going to do the Dirk fadeaway, or he's just going to bully you till he gets under the basket and puts up a layup. Like it is what it is. But Luka's just incredible. There's not much else to say.
And he was hunting Terrence. Like he wanted that matchup every single time.
As every superstar will when they get the scouting report of the Magic scheme here with this lineup is they're switching everything. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
So, but I will say, once it seems healthy, you could put a guy in there like a little Jonathan.
Don't you get tired of saying that?
Little Jalen Suggs.
Don't you get tired of saying that?
Even no. Listen, even put Jalen Suggs in there, and he gives you a better look there in terms of doing that defensively.
How many times? How much longer are we gonna have to say this? Oh, the Lakers just won. We have the worst record in the league. That is so cool. Awesome.
We suck again.
Oh no, we suck again. Yeah. So the Magic lose to the Dallas Mavericks. Like you said. I mean, really, the biggest discrepancy between the two teams is turnovers. 12 for the Magic, 4 for the Dallas Mavericks, which is honestly just crazy.
12 is fine for us.
12 is great. I'll take 12 every single night, but you got to force the action a little bit more. I mean, massive credit to Luka to have the ball in his hands as much as he does, and to have 0 turnovers in this game is pretty remarkable. But, maybe I'll have to watch this game back, but it really didn't feel like we were really taking a lot of risks in the passing lanes tonight. Maybe that's part of the scheme. You don't want to gamble against this team. I mean, I feel like pretty near every year that Luka's been in the league and is, had the kind of usage that we've become accustomed to, he has a tendency to turn the ball over. Just like, any superstar that has the ball in their hands that amount. Like you look at a Trae Young, LeBron James, like any of those guys. Especially if you're moving the ball a lot, they have a tendency to turn the ball over a little bit. So, honestly, it did feel like a bit of a missed opportunity. I mean, anytime Luka scores 44 on 65% efficiency, you're going to have a rough night. But 8 of 14 from the free throw line felt like we could have taken advantage of that. But yeah, I just felt, in that second quarter when like Kevon Harris was in there, RJ Hampton and like Chuma, and they were, doing some things, and the Magic were building a little bit of a lead. To me, it was like, all right, we've got a lead. Let's get the starters in here, and let's see if we can build on this. This isn't something that we want to, risk them coming back and then you lose momentum, because you're up by 11 in that first half. If you can get that lead to 20 and demoralize them a little bit, and maybe you have a double-digit lead going into the half, you have a good third quarter, and these guys playing the second night of a back-to-back, the game might be over at that point. So definitely felt like a little bit of a missed opportunity. I will say credit to Mosley. The last couple of games, we've seen him stagger Paolo and Franz a bit more, which has been great. It doesn't feel like we're just leaving that second unit out to die, essentially, which has been nice. But again, those guys are just being asked to do so much on both ends of the floor. Like we saw a lot of Franz on Luka to begin a lot of these possessions tonight, and to ask him to do that for 36 minutes, 37 minutes against Luka, and then basically be like 1A and 1B in terms of facilitating the offense with he and Paolo. It's just too much to ask of these guys right now, and I think that's a pretty good segue into our conversation, kind of about Paolo and Franz. So talking about Paolo, 7 games in now, he's averaging 22.7 points per game, 7.6 rebounds, 3.9 assists, shooting 43.8% from the floor, 29% from the three-point line, and 73% from the free throw line on 8.6 free throw attempts per game. Like we talked about through the first 6 games and now 7 games now. Just an incredible start to his career. I tweeted out, I think that was Saturday or Friday night maybe. Anybody that tells you that they thought Paolo was going to be this good already is simply lying to you. There are a lot of people out there, and I will give them credit, who were Team Paolo from day one. Since we got the first number 1 overall pick, they never wavered. And you guys know who I'm talking about. They were all over Paolo from the jump. There were some people like myself that was like, any of the top 3, I'm good, because I knew that regardless, Paolo was going to be really good. I was totally fine with the Paolo pick. But anyone that tells you that they thought he was going to be this good through the first 6 games, having a better 6-game start to his career than LeBron freaking James, I'm sorry. We can agree to disagree. I don't care what you say. I do not believe you, good sir. It's really that simple. And most people have been like, yeah, like I knew he was going to be good, but this is crazy. There have been a handful of people that have responded to that tweet that were like, no, I knew this the entire time. And then I'm like, respectfully, there's no way you knew that he was going to be this good this early and doing these kind of things already. And they're like, yeah, but I knew he was going to be good. So they disagree with me. And then when I confront them about it, they're like, well, no, yeah, but I knew he was going to be really good. And I will concede that. People knew he was going to be really good. Nobody knew he was going to be this good. Nobody.
Yeah. No.
Those are my 2 cents.
I didn't. Right? Like,
we definitely wouldn't have been saying we wanted to draft Jabari if we knew he was going to be this good. That's for dang sure.
Of course. Because the big thing for me going into draft was I think that all 3 of those guys, the top picks, are great players and will be great players, but I don't know that they're franchise-altering players. Paolo Banchero is a franchise-altering player. Which is crazy to say when we're 1-6. I will concede to that. But
not if you
we all know
use your eyeballs.
Right, of course. I'm saying if you were a troll, it'd be easy to say, oh, yeah, he's really franchise-altering. But we all know he is. It is not his fault. We are 1-6. He's the last person I would blame. So, yeah, yeah, like you said, it is. There's no way. There's no way you thought. Like, people were like, yeah, I thought he could average 20. And it's like, yeah, through the course of 82 games. But now it's looking like he could average 22, and he had a better start to his career than LeBron, than Luka, who we saw tonight, and how great he is now in year, 4? So, just insane. So, Paolo's been incredible. Franz is obviously 1B, but in the same breath, he has not been the Franz that we thought so far. I will put that caveat, so far. It has not been that many games. There is a huge reality where he just becomes more efficient, specifically from 3. And that's where I think we've been a little bit frustrated. But I also think he's still experimenting with his step back 3 and things of that nature. That
he's had plenty of open looks that he's just needed to drain that he hasn't hit yet.
Yeah, and I think that he'll right the ship before it becomes mental, and it'll be fine. I think that once you are able to add more guys, get into more of a rhythm, Franz will feel even more comfortable. Things will come naturally. He'll be getting the ball from Markelle Fultz, who has Dimer Hall of Fame. So I think that it'll be just fine.
The funny thing with Franz is, like, if you look at his numbers, his efficiency is down essentially across the board in field goal percentage, in 3-point percentage, slightly better in his 2-point percentage so far. His effective field goal percentage is down. His free throw percentage is down compared to last year. His rebounding is just barely up. His assists are up. His steals are up. His blocks are down. His turnovers are up, obviously, with the more responsibilities in terms of playmaking. And he's averaging 0.6 points per game more than he was in his first season. But I still feel like he's a much better player this year. I don't know if that's weird for me to say that, but he's just been given so much responsibility. And and I'm not, this is going to sound really bad. People are going to kill me for this. I'm not trying to compare Franz to Evan Fournier. I'm not trying to do that.
No.
But in a similar sense that Evan was asked to do way too much for his entire, 6-7 year, tenure with the Magic, Franz is being asked to do way more than we thought we were going to need to ask of him, and way more than we should be asking him at this point in his career, just in terms of playmaking at stretches, guarding the other team's best wing, just being asked to do way too much. And you can tell that there's certain aspects of this in his game that he's not totally comfortable with. But what I will say is I think this is the best thing for Franz long term. The fact that he and Paolo are going through these kind of growing pains as the number one initiators at time, I think is going to benefit us in the long term. You talk about having a guy like Markelle Fultz back. Why do we want Markelle Fultz back? Because this is a guy that can go and get his shot at any time, not necessarily from behind the three-point line, but anywhere within the key, and you feel really comfortable that he's going to go and make that shot, especially in end-game situations. And if it's Markelle or if it ends up being another guard, Scoot Henderson, who knows, in the future, having 3 of those guys and 2 of those guys being 6'10" or bigger is going to be unguardable. Like, I truly believe that. So, although the early returns have been a little bit frustrating with Franz, and given the Eurobasket performance that we thought he was just going to come out of the gates on fire, nobody's going to be able to stop him, and he's missing like bunny layups, like layups that he made in his sleep in Eurobasket. He's just slightly off there. The 3-point shooting isn't exactly what it was at Eurobasket. Yes, the line is closer at Eurobasket. He was definitely in a better rhythm and just feeling a lot more comfortable during the Eurobasket tournament. He was not asked to do, kind of to our complaint, he was not being asked to have this level of responsibility handling the ball in Eurobasket. But I'm not worried about Franz. It's just been like, all right, and it's not like, oh, you're not as good as we thought you were. He's just being asked to do way more than we thought he was going to at this point. When we were watching him bust Giannis's Greek you-know-what in Eurobasket, we thought we were going to have a healthy Markelle Fultz, Jalen Suggs, Gary Harris,
right.
And Franz is just going to be able to do Franz things, and he really hasn't been able to do that so far. So it has been a little bit frustrating, particularly the shooting, but I'm super confident, as confident as I've ever been, that all of that stuff is going to come around. And those guys, they just had a rough night tonight against a really good Dallas Mavericks team that, just made a deep playoff run. And this is the last thing that I will say in regards to Paolo. If I'm wrong and you somehow knew he was going to be this good, quit your freaking day job right now. You need to be an NBA scout, because this is ridiculous.
I can't believe you just circled back.
Yes, you can. If you think about it, you can absolutely believe that I circled back.
You were
to
giving
this.
your Franz thought, but you were really thinking about the Paolo thing.
No, no. I was just like, I'm driving home. I got the pizza next to me, and I had to jump out, get gas, but I didn't forget that I got the pizza in the back seat. I'm not walking to the house without that. So I had to reach back, get my take, and because I thought we were going Paolo, and then you kind of jumped to Franz. I'm like, I got this point. I'm still going to make it at the end.
Okay.
But I still have my Franz stuff to go through. So
I will say
the boys are going to be fine.
The last thing I will add about Franz is, you obviously touched on it. Like when the guys are back, when Markelle is back and able to facilitate to Franz, it will be great. As much as I loved Point Franz last season, I don't know that I love it more than regular Franz by any stretch.
They got the tape on him now.
Having Franz play off ball with Markelle running the point will be so much better for his game. Yes, him handling the ball right now and getting in these pressure situations where he has not handled them great this year, dating back to even preseason, it will be good for his game to learn how to deal with that sort of thing when that moment comes, and just in terms of his development. But seeing him play strictly off ball is way more enjoyable to me. I'd rather Paolo be bringing the ball up the court in those situations, so that Franz, because he is so good off the ball, be able to do Franz things in that situation. So I loathe entirely the thought of, and just to continue having to say, when they're back, Franz is going to be incredible off the ball, like starting everything with when they're back. But it is the case. It's all I think about. I just want a healthy team because I know when these players are in their respective roles, you're taking teams like Dallas really to the wire. The game was closer than the final score, in my opinion. Taking teams like that to the final to the wire. You're playing hard against Boston. I can't help but think that this team is going to be really good once we've got some health on our side.
I think you're going to be upset when those guys come back. Because I still think
be upset.
Franz is going to be doing this to like a certain extent. I feel like this is a part of his game that they want him to improve on. So that's 3-4
fine,
years
but
from
I
now,
don't
he has
think
it.
We won't see it as much. And that in return, when he is not doing that, he will be doing the off-ball responsibilities. Also, we saw Gary and Jalen, right?
Yep.
Both made the trip. Doesn't necessarily mean that they're going to be back this week on Tuesday against OKC, but it does mean that they're going to be back sometime soon. And if that sometime soon is a homestand, that would be great. I do like also something I've been thinking about a lot is that I like the fact that I think they're going to bring them back, honestly, maybe in groups of twos, just for the simple fact of throwing off chemistry, everything they built on the court so far this season, even though there are a lot of losses.
I'm about to say, bro, what are we worried about ruining right now?
But I will say,
man,
if you brought like
really
a majority
that 1-6
of
record, man, we got to hang on to that.
All right. Anyway, but I do like the fact that I think those two will probably come back together, at least very close in proximity. And then you kind of get to stagger the rest of them coming back as well, reintroducing them to the on the court stuff. So yeah, we'll see. That was another thing to note for sure about this trip is that they were on it.
Yeah, a couple of things that stood out to me when we were at the game on Friday. Mo Wagner still in a walking boot. Jalen Suggs not in a walking boot. Markelle Fultz is in that kind of like soft sandal boot still. I don't know how much longer he's gonna be needing to wear that. Cole, we talked about earlier, has the abdomen wrap right now. And then Gary and J.I. are and Jalen, just walking around like, everything is fine. I didn't see any kind of limp from Jalen, so I don't know how he's feeling. But, I mean, for the 18th billionth time, can't wait to get those guys back. I'm so tired of saying that. I am so tired of saying that. All right, Luke, you were correct this week, 1-3. You had us winning the game against Charlotte and losing to literally everyone else. Let's take a look at the week ahead. So coming up on Tuesday, this game was supposed to be on TNT, and in my professional opinion, should still be on TNT. We have the number one freaking overall pick in the draft. Every single team should get a nationally televised game each year. This is ridiculous. But it was supposed to be on TNT. It no longer will be. At Oklahoma City on Tuesday. That game starts at 8 o'clock Eastern. And then on Thursday, it starts your 7-game, 2-week homestand with a game against the Golden State Warriors at home, who just lost, I think, or they had a close one to somebody. They just lost to Charlotte. Lost to Charlotte, which we beat, so we know we're better than the Warriors.
And
so we should win that game
tonight.
Perfect. So, they're going to be pissed off and want to win that game. Can't wait. That game starts at 7 o'clock Eastern. And then Saturday, November 5th, Sacramento, a early Saturday game for the Magic at home. That game starts at 5 o'clock Eastern. Luke, what is your prediction for this week here?
You're not going to love it, Jonathan.
Oh, dear gosh. Oh,
you're not going to love it.
Why do you do this?
I got to tell you.
Can I go first then?
Yeah, you go first.
2-1. You beat OKC. You beat Sacramento. Thank you very much. That's going to do it for this episode. No, I'm kidding. Go ahead. I know what you're going to say. Just say it. I hope you know what? If you're going to say even worse than what I thought, I don't want to know.
I'm going to say 0-3.
Oh, dear God.
And I'll tell you why.
Bruh.
They've all got rest. The Thunder, bro, the Thunder played Dallas Saturday, October 29th, and they don't have another game till us on Tuesday. So there's that.
They're going to be rusty.
That plays into it. The Warriors, they've got to win, and they're going to win. It's not a back-to-back. They'll win. The Kings, I should say. I mean, they play the second against the Heat, and normally, like Boston's case, right? We got them on a back-to-back, right? I think. And then, but with the Kings, they play the Heat in Miami November 2nd, which is a Wednesday, and they don't play again until Saturday against us. So they're just like hanging out in Florida for a few days. I don't know.
But the Kings are bad, bro.
They are bad, but they've also got rest, and we're also bad.
Yeah.
So I'm
fair enough.
Listen, this all hinges
I'm
on
a
us not
hopeless
having
eternal
anybody.
optimist.
Yeah, but this all does hinge on the fact that, like, if we have Gary and Jalen back, it's different. But and maybe for that sake, I should go 1-2, but I'm not going to, because I'm not sure that they'll be back that early in the homestand. I will go 0-3.
I'm just sticking to my preseason predictions. Obviously, I know we're crazy, wicked hurt. Like, if you just look at the guys that are going to be on the floor Tuesday night, like you have your pick of anybody. Like maybe you go SGA. I'm going to go Paolo. I think he's going to be the best player on the floor Tuesday night against the Oklahoma City Thunder, and he's just going to will us to a win. Where you see flashes in these guys' rookie seasons. You saw it with LeBron James. You saw it with Luka. You saw it with Zion. You saw it with Trey. These guys that are special, there's a handful of wins in their rookie year that they're just going to will you to a win. And I think this is going to be the one. You can't count the one against Charlotte. We still would have beat them by 15 without Paolo. They were horrible. I'm counting this. He's going to show TNT. You should have had me on TNT tonight because I'm about to go crazy. Maybe I'm just hoping. Maybe everything is pointless. Maybe none of this is real. Maybe we're in the Matrix right now. Why do we breathe? Why do we live? Why do we do anything? Why do we watch the magic? Why do we do this to ourselves?
SGA has been so good, man. I can't.
Yeah,
SGA, bro. It's like averaging 30. He's 1-7-5 right now.
My heart says 2-1. My brain says 1-2. My brain says 1-2. We just find a way to win one of these games. We can't go the entire week without losing again, but we'll see. You'll probably be right. We'll see what happens. I think that's going to do it for this one, Luke.
Yeah, sorry to end it on such a melancholy note there, guys, but
yeah,
appreciate
you suck.
You guys listening and sticking with us for this over an hour. Thank you for the episode. Appreciate that.
Don't forget, after your wins, the Magic wins, Papa John's 50% off, code MAGICWIN. For Luke Sylvia, this has been Jonathan Osborne. You guys are listening to The Sixth Man Show, and we will catch you guys next time. See ya. Thanks for listening to The Sixth Man Show. Be sure to subscribe on iTunes and Spotify to get new episodes downloaded directly to your phone. If you enjoyed the show, please take a minute to give us a 5-star rating and a review. It helps out the show a lot. Follow us on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook at Sixth Man Show. We'll catch you guys next time. Go Magic!